got my 22 Silverado Trailboss. It has a towing package, which means it has the 7-pin connector on the back. What it doesn't have is the brake controller, the trailer brake controller, the electronic controller. You can't adjust the brakes. It's just a 1-to-1 match, truck brake to trailer brake. And for the most part, especially for fairly lightweight trailers, that's fine. But for hauling a big camper around, well, that camper's pretty heavy and it tends to push a little bit. So having the ability to adjust the brake pressure to add gain to the trailer is, for me, kind of a must-have. And this truck didn't have it. When it has the towing package, though, where it has that connector, even if it doesn't have the controller in it, you can add one on. And you can't add the factory one in. I think only a dealer can do that. I'm not sure. I haven't found a way to do it. But you can add an aftermarket controller. And there's a variety of different ones. The one I'm going to add here is this one by Curt. It's the Spectrum brake controller, model 51170. It's pretty plug and play. I also bought from Curt the wiring adapter to go from the factory truck's wiring harness to this controller. We'll have to drill a hole in your dash. That could be a little nerve-wracking, but I'll show you a panel you can put it. We're going to put it right where the original brake controller would be. When we were shopping for trucks, I wanted, for the camper stuff, I wanted the controller option in it. And I had a hard time finding very many that had the built-in controller. Found a ton of them that didn't, though, and just had the towing package. And I actually didn't know about this one. I've known about aftermarket brake controllers. They've been around a long, long time. And you see them in the big box that's mounted on the bottom of the dash and the footwell somewhere, or maybe up higher. And you bang your knee on it 10 times. And as a tall guy, like, I bang my knee on everything. So I didn't want anything in that footwell and getting in the way. So I wanted something a little more of a factory look to it. It's not exactly like factory. It's a little bit, LEDs, and it's a little flashy, but it goes, I can put it in the factory location. It stays out of the way. All the wiring and hookup is pretty plug and play and tucked up into the dash, and it's a super clean look. So let's get after it. Actually, real quick, maybe let's go through what's actually in the box. I got it all unpackaged here. I went through and just to make sure I knew what I was doing and kind of identified what all this stuff is. So this is your actual controller knob. This is your gain, your adjustment for the amount of additional brake you want to put on the trailer. This connects through a wiring harness. I don't really know yet why there's this pigtail that goes from here to here. This is the actual, this is an accelerometer, and this is the monitoring system that detects sway, force, right? And so that automatically adjusts and applies the brakes when needed. This has this plug that goes in here, and then this pigtail goes to this one. I don't know why this doesn't just have this plug on it, why you need the extra one. Maybe it's variant for different, like they have the same knob but different modules here, different components. So they makes them a little more interchangeable. And then this is a separate harness. The truck actually came with a wiring harness. It's in a bag in the glove box, and it just has bare wires at the other end. So it's got this plug at one end and then just wires at this end to hook to any kind of separate controller option. So I could pin it out and get the connector and we'll splice wires together, but for like an extra 20 bucks, I think I found this harness that's for GM trucks, for this model. They have a bunch of them for Ford, them for Dodge, like there's a bunch of different independent. So this end hooks to their controller, and then this end hooks to your factory wiring harness. And so this end will be unique, obviously, per vehicle. This is going to make this install so much faster. And then you mount this somewhere inside, somewhere stable. So it doesn't have to mount any particular direction, but it has to stay wherever it is, because if it moves, it needs to move with the vehicle, so that otherwise it'll throw off its detection. So it's motion detection. So if this wobbles around inside there, you just like zip tie it to dangle it, and it's wiggling around. This is going to think the truck is moving like this, so don't do that. You got to mount it somewhere more stable, more rigid. And then it gives you some mounting options: zip tie, screws, some peel and stick, double-sided, like 3M tape. All right, so I know it's kind of hard. This black interior and it's dark in here. It's kind of hard to see everything. But this is the spot right here where the controller goes, and there'll be a button and a slider, a pinch slider to adjust and kind of test your, apply the brake manually and test how much control you need, and then you just up and down change the number, and it will change inside your heads up, your dashboard display here, your the driver information center. This won't have that, right? It's just going to be on the dial, and the dial is going to tell me what the level is. So this has got to come off. This comes off from the inside, so this whole panel has to come off. In the trucks that have just the center lift up, just like a bench seat with a lift up center console, this will be much easier. This will have to, if I want to get this off, this plate off, I think all of this centerpiece has to come out, which I don't love. I don't really want to do all that if I don't have to. I think I can just take this out and get to it from the back side. So that's what I'm going to try to do first. Just pop this accessory USB panel off first, and then see if I can just reach in and pop this loose, and then pull it through. I don't know though, I don't think it's gonna fit through there, but we'll see. It's not that hard. Most of it comes out by hand with just clips, but the more you take out, the more opportunity to break something. And let's see if we can get some more light in here, because this is hard to see. There we go. I don't like that cracking sound at all. It's coming. There it goes. Okay, let's just, so get out of the way. Unplug that. Now, can we get in here? Get to that. There's a clip there. A clip there. My finger's long enough to get to the other side. Don't need to. And there is a wire behind this plate for the original wiring harness. They just hook it to the plate. And you're just going to have to unplug that right there. Just set that off to the side. Trying to drop this down into the dash. There we go. Now can I get this out through this hole? That seems possible, plausible, maybe. Am I gonna get it stuck halfway through and can't get it out? Oh, all right, let's go back through this hole then. Maybe at an angle. Oh, there we go. Come out that way. All right, so this has, on the inside, there's tabs here. So from this side, you can just pull on the tab slightly. They're very thin. So just pull the two on this side, and that'll pop this side loose, and then this side will just come out. And then you can angle it and bring it out that hole. So you don't have to take all of this off. I need to drill a hole through this to bring that wire harness through, so something at least as big as that small plug, which then maybe that's the reason why that plug is so small. And then we'll mount that, a mounting plate that on top of here that controller will clip into. Just to kind of eyeball it. I could measure it and get an exact metal spot, but ain't that big a deal, honestly. And I don't think I'm going to see this pencil mark, but maybe I can. And again, this is all going to cover by this plate, so I don't have to be exact. I can't see that. So these two holes where screws go to attach this, or like I said, you could double sticky tape it, but since I got to put holes in anyway, I'm going to put screws in. And then that is the spot to put this, to put the wire through. That needs to be at least this big. Not exactly OSHA approved. But then we can step it one little bit at a time. It does make a nice clean hole. Nope. I'm running into that wiring connector. So that was too high. So here's a tip. Don't go quite so high. I didn't pay attention to that. I paid attention where the center of the hole was. I don't really care that much because I'm not going to use that connector, but I wish I'd paid more attention to that. There. Okay. Okay, now we feed our wire through, I hope. Yep. All right, and then that'll click in there. So, but I don't want to do that just yet because, remember, this comes into the truck from the back. And it may not come through with this extra plate on there, which means I might take that back off and screw back on inside the truck. But let's go in there and find out. Now we'll be able to get this through this hole. Yeah, maybe not. We can, but it's risky. I don't want to break anything. We've got our holes, so we'll just take this back off. So here for a second. And put our box back in. Let's do this. I'm wondering about the wiring. I could do this after it's all put together, but I think it's going to be easier to do it when I can see everything. So run this through here, and then through here, and then run it into here so that I can get it out somewhere where I can find it. And I can kind of manipulate it a little better from in here. Let's ring to the left. There it is. Okay. All right. Now I can put it all together. It really does have a top and bottom, doesn't it? Well, I'll be darned. Okay. All right, before I do that, do I want to change that whole location? Because that's not what I thought was true. I thought it didn't have a top or bottom, that it was universal. So, take this back out just to evaluate this connection here. So that is at the bottom now, not the top. So that's going to go this way instead of that way. Will that still work? It's still fine. Just doesn't give me the cord relief that I thought I was getting, but it's okay. All right, so we'll do this with the hole at the bottom, not the top. So I did it upside down. There is a, pay attention here, just for reference. There's the little knockout here, little tab here, and the tab here. They're the same, but this has this extra little nub, which goes up into a groove at the top here. And the bottom of the dash panel doesn't have that little nub right there. And luckily those holes are the same on both sides, so I don't have to worry so much about did I mess up the hole placement. Well, this gotta go that way. There we go. Hook our USB cord back in. Interesting. Those are just micro USB ports in there. Okay, now I'm going to wire the other end to our controller and hook the controller to the truck. So now I'm going to get underneath to figure out where you want to install this module, this accelerometer. You want it to be somewhere stable, and I've seen a lot of people mount it to this air duct here, but that moves a little, and you can see there's a dirt spot here. That's from a boot, a muddy boot. So I got big feet, and I'm going to kick that once in a while, probably. And I don't want to do it when I'm driving. So I guess I wanted somewhere a little more stable. So I did peel this panel off here. It's just the side trim to this console. And there's a metal bar here that is like a support bar for the dashboard and steering column and all that. So it's pretty rigid. And I just zip tied it to that on the back side. and ran that first zip tie. There's a hole already here. If there isn't one, you could easily drill a hole, and that'll keep it, because this is a tapered bar. So if I just zip tied it, it would want to drop down. So I ran a zip tie through that hole, and then just put the second one. And these are the zip ties that come with it, and they're pretty long. They're plenty long enough to attach this. So just wrap around the pole, wrap through the openings on the side of the controller. I ran the wiring, the built-in wiring harness out the top, and then I got enough space on here I can get the little pigtail plugged in, although I kind of wish I'd plugged it in first because it would have been a lot easier. But I got to trying it out and then realized once you get them zip tied, you can undo zip ties, but it's kind of a pain. So if I can't get the plug in there, I'll do that. And then we got to run that other wiring harness up to here, up under the footwell. There's a wire harness. Let's see if I can get you up high enough to see it. Right there, that gray one right there. That is the trailer wire harness, and just has a little plug in it that you're gonna pop out, just as a protector of the pins. And that orange plug there is where that pigtail is going to go. Yeah, that end right there will go up top. This end will go to the end of the controller harness. And then this piece goes to this piece, and that plugs in the bottom. So hard for me to hold the camera and do all that at once, but that's kind of how it goes. So I ran that wiring harness up under this bracket, and up under the hood release cable to hold it up there. And then it comes over here and plugs in to the factory harness. And that just runs back over there, up behind that air box here, to this harness back here. And then the wiring for the controller, the little manual controller, it's zip tied. It's kind of zip tied up there behind so it doesn't fall out of the panel. Alright, so make sure we got it working. Alright, we're good to go. Now, the manual that comes with it has all kinds of instructions. You can change the brightness in manual mode to change the output sensitivity, so like a brake sensitivity, how hard you press the brake. And then as you're driving, it'll give you indicators of the brake output when you have a trailer hooked up. If you have one of these, and you have this package, this towing package, but you don't have the brake controller, you may have one of these wiring harnesses actually in your truck already, probably in the glove box. This is the one provided by General Motors. It has just the wires, dig out here, just the 4 bare wires. So this is the harness that plugs into the truck side, and this would be the wire you wire up to your controller. This is a universal, because it doesn't have a plug at the other end, that GM provides you, so then you can use this with any aftermarket controller. You don't have to use the Curt one, you can use any one you want. And then I could have done this and not bought the complete adapter from Curt as well, but that was like 30 bucks. And that saved way more time than I think this was worth. Like I said, you can do it with any one of them. This though, I like the look of this one. I like, kind of looks factory. It doesn't have that controller box mounted on the dashboard or like on the lower part of the dash. Keeps a little bit of an OEM look, which I like. Anyway, as always, I hope you find that helpful. Hope you find it useful and learned a little something out of it. This is a pretty straightforward install, really, like other than pulling that panel off. And you don't have to do that. You can mount it up on somewhere else up inside there and not take these panels off, because getting that panel back on was actually kind of a pain in the butt. But not the end of the world. So thanks you guys for watching. Appreciate you very much, and we'll see you next time.